famous city's looking good tonight, isn't it? The Emerald City here of Sydney, because it hosts one of the matches of the season, the much anticipated Buddy Franklin against the old team, as we welcome you to Carlton Draft Friday Night Footy. What a great night to be in Sydney. It's Hawthorn taking on Sydney and taking on Buddy Franklin. Yes, he is playing. Hodge is out, by the way, so Hodge is out of the Hawthorn team, but Buddy's up and about. It'll be Buddy, Tippett and Goods on that forward line at some stage tonight for the Swans. So what a journey it's been for Buddy. Drafted with Ruffy, Buddy at 5 and Ruffy at 2. And then that 100-goal season and that premiership year, who could forget the night that he kicked 100? It was absolutely spectacular. Josh Gibson, his great mate, Jacinta Campbell he goes out with, and now up and playing as a Sydney Swan. What a journey it's been for Buddy Franklin. And that journey takes on one more step tonight when he takes on his old teammates Hawthorn. To have a look at his view of tonight, it's up to you, Dennis.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. Well, in a week when the bump took centre stage, it's interesting to reflect on Buddy Franklin's move to Sydney. A move that was seen as a monumental bump in the road for Hawthorn, but somebody obviously forgot to tell the Hawks. Tonight they arrive in Sydney on top of the table with 45 goals in their last 2 games and with their biggest percentage this deep into a season since 1971. They lead the league in kicks, hand passes, goals and marks inside 50. Benchmarks made even more impressive when you consider so far this season the reigning premiers have introduced 5 debutants. For this game, they're missing 7 quality players, including 5 from their last premiership. I guess it follows if they can win tonight, it'll be very hard to say they don't lead the league in depth as well.
One of the most important players on the ground tonight, Duck, will be Josh Gibson, and I know you think he's probably the most important player on the Hawks team. Yeah, with Hodge out, I think Gibson's ultra important. I mean, he'll probably get the job on his old mate, Buddy. Do you reckon he will? Well, I think he will, and what a role it'll be. I mean, this guy, since he's left the Kangaroos, he's certainly one of the best players in the comp. I love the way he plays. He's a third man up. He's smart. He doesn't get beaten in the one-on-ones, Richard. He knows when to come off his man and intercept Mark, doesn't he? And that's, you're going to have to get a smart forward on him, and Franklin's going to have to be pretty clever with where he leads tonight. Well, that's exactly right. He'll have to isolate. I mean, you talked about those big forwards for Sydney. That Gibson loves that, especially if you stand there and you're stationary. So Buddy will have to get on his bike. I love the way he can get 30 touches as well, Josh Gibson. The other player we're really looking forward to seeing tonight is Kurt Tippett. Finally getting out on the ground this year. I think he has to play the deepest forward tonight. He's a really good contested mark. He leads well at the footy, and I think he is the one who'll start in the goal square. Yeah, I think he'll start in the goal square. He'll obviously do a little bit of ruck in the forward line, but look, when he's marking like that, I mean, he's just a terrific player to watch, and obviously, as we said, he'll have to isolate from the other big forwards. Well, if he can get deep, I think he'll probably get showing makers tonight. And one area I reckon the Hawks can struggle is if you can get them one-on-one deep, and we saw a few weeks ago, Big Tom Hawkins of Geelong really got a hold of Kyle Chaney at the MCG, and this is what Tippett will want tonight, Doug. That's right, and as we said, I mean, this was a game where Gibson wasn't able to be that third man up, so he didn't quite get there on a couple of occasions. Hawkins was able to clunk a few marks, so once again, it's just ultra important that they get up the ground and they isolate. The rest of the forward line has to be really aware of that if he gets a mismatch, no doubt about that. Let's head over to Lee and Tom.
Well, there's stars all over the park, Lee. It's got to be said. The Australian of the Year, Adam Goods, is one of them. He's his 3rd game back. He went sub, played a full game last week. How have you seen his progress?
Well, when you saw him off the sub bench 2 weeks ago, I mean, he hadn't played for 10 months with that knee problem. He was straight into the game, handled the ball cleanly, kept his feet. I mean, he's just a great talent, Adam Goods. And I mean, when you got him and Franklin that can almost play the 3rd and 4th tall, they can play anywhere really over the field. So he's a magnificent talent, and I'm amazed how quickly he's regained touch after missing a lot of footy in the last year.
And the Sydney Swans mids, it appears, in the last month or so have really picked up their game. They're dominating possession through the middle of the ground. Hanbury's averaging 13 touches more in the last month. There's Josh Kennedy's up to 33, McVeigh and Jack. You can see their numbers on screen there. And with Mitchell and Hodge out for the Hawks, do you see perhaps an advantage to the Swans through the middle of the ground?
Well, probably. I mean, they're a good group. I mean, and certainly Mitchell and Hodge out. Burgoyne's going to have to be good for Hawthorn, I would have thought, but they're a good group, and they are goal kickers too. It's a lot of the midfielders this year, because I reckon of the cap on interchange a little bit, they're going forward a bit more than rather than going to interchange. And Josh Kennedy and Kevin Jack particularly, probably the Swans players that seem to be kicking more goals, joining in the last few weeks than what they have, earlier on in their career. So I think I think the good midfielders now, Tom, are looking to get 1 or 2 goals a game. And that's a good evolution of the game, I reckon. And Jack and Kennedy probably lead the charge for the Swans in that regard.
He's a good one, all right, Jack. No doubt about it. He's been playing forward 50 a fair bit. We see Goods there. Good starting on the bench tonight. So the dream team of Franklin and Tippett are the ins for the Swans.
Well, I mean, you just look at that Swans forward line, and the thing is, they got the tools, obviously, in Tippett and Reid, but because Franklin and Goods are running tools, they could play wing, half forward, so I don't see that they'd have to be part of their structure. So they're outstanding in that part of the ground, and potentially. The
delivery of the ball is really crucial. Reshaw named on his wing there. I think he'll play half back, and as we spoke about just earlier, getting so much uncontested ball through the middle of the ground.
For Hawthorn, no Hodge and Mitchell in the same team since 2002. 4 changes for the Hawks tonight. So Stratton and Cheney come back in the back half. Langford comes back in, and Simpkins the man that comes in for Hodge.
It's a terrific lineup, Duck, and I think the obvious ones there is the back line with losing Brian Lake out of the back line and Luke Hodge, who's that general down there. Of course, and if you look at their forward line, as we've said all year, I mean, it's been their spread of goal kickers in that side. I mean, they've averaged 10 goal kickers every week. That's Hawthorn's real strength. Who do you think Langford will go to tonight? Oh, maybe Kennedy? Hanbury. I think Hanbury's been in great form, so he may get the job on him.
So Hawthorn preparing to come out on Friday Night Football. 45 goals for the team in the last 2 weeks. It's been powerful football, but tonight 3 stars of last season's premiership, Sam Mitchell, Luke Hodge, a late withdrawal, and Brian Lake are all missing. So against the odds tonight, their record is 6-1. Their only loss came against Geelong on Easter Monday, and their record both in defence and attack has been quite outstanding this season. They have wonderful depth. I spoke of that before. Typifying that, Ryan Schoenmakers came back into the team after a lengthy absence and booted 4 goals. One of 4 players to get 4. There he is. Finished in defence. Started the game up forward. First game since round 4 against Fremantle last week. And he looked in terrific shape. Could see him back in defence again tonight, I would say, given the height that Sydney perhaps can muster. And Josh Gibson, well, he made his own arrangements last week in defence. 30 possessions. He knocks up getting possessions, runs off, distributes the ball well. Outstanding player. But tonight again is fighting out of his division. So many storylines and subplots about this game as we look at what Sydney can throw against the league leaders. As I mentioned, a late withdrawal. They'll miss him quite often in defence. As the 3rd man up, he can play tall. He reads the play so well. Undersized in defence. Tonight, they'll be sorely tested at ANZ Stadium. But then again, they seem to relish the tests. Forward the Red Boots, having a good season too. There's Suckling, Matt Suckling. He's a powerful weapon running off half back. It's a lovely kick and generally registers the odd goal or 2. Not odd goal, but quite a few goals, if you get my drift. Brad Hill having a breakout season. Burgoyne, number 9, Sean Burgoyne, had a possession high tally last week as a Hawk with 33 against the hapless St Kilda when they ran away to win by 145 points. They're really on a roll, but tonight, as I've said, it doesn't look the same old Hawks team, but they have players in abundance waiting to force their way into this side. No easy feat. So perhaps those players will grab their chance with both hands tonight. And the question has been raised. We heard Alistair Clarkson earlier talking about the fact that even John Longmire mightn't know what to expect tonight in terms of those tall forwards. So many of them, so many options available. Does he start the game by just throwing them forward and see what happens in Hawthorn's response? But not sure. He would not know coming in as to what he will see tonight, despite the fact I think the big guys are better suited on this big ground than perhaps even at the SCG. Richo is down on the boundary, and Richo Sydney slow to come out here, but obviously this is a big night for Sydney supporters. So much is coming together for them.
Oh, no doubt. The anticipation down here to watch this game is unbelievable. And I think it's to see that tall forward line as well, with the potentially having Reid, Adam Goods, Tippett and Franklin down there. That is a massive forward line with some marking power. But let's be honest, all of them are a little bit underdone or coming off injury. So that will be the big question. If they're not marking the footy, Dennis, it could come out of there pretty quickly, because we know how well the Hawks rebound on half-back. And once they get their hands on the footy, they don't give it back. Guys like Burgoyne and obviously Birchall coming off half-back.
And they're the subplots we were talking about before. Sydney, they've won their last 3 against Fremantle, Melbourne and Brisbane. And talking with John Longmire before, he acknowledged that perhaps against Fremantle they turned the corner, started to play some good football. He mentioned over 100 tackles that night. And they bring that form and some big names, an all-star cast.
What about the forward
line
line
to ANZ Stadium? Adam Goods in the middle there. Terrific last week. Got 3 goals. The second game back. The late arrival number 24 is young Rampy. He's becoming a dashing defender. So they're through the banner on a Friday night at ANZ Stadium. We'll be back with all of the action right after this.
Well, I guess if you asked me to describe charisma in a footballer, I could do it in one word, and it's Buddy. You know, he's a freak talent. He's a rock star in footy boots. He's got the athleticism. He's flamboyant. You never know what he's going to do. He's just got that touch of genius about him. He's not like an Ablett or a Hodge who's just going to do everything right all the time. But when he does something brilliant, it's something that no one else is capable of. Some people might say arrogance, but I think all the great players have a touch of that. Not only does he do those amazing things, those impossible things, but he makes it look so easy. He does it without thinking. He's best when he's not thinking, he's just going on pure instinct. Some players just have that star quality. They have that appeal that everyone wants to know what they're going to do on and off the field. He's an interesting person to paint because just physically he's quite striking. I really like the beard on him at the moment because it's got that Aboriginal elder / Ned Kelly kind of look. He obviously his tattoos are pretty striking, and I think his eyes are saying there's a long, long way for me to go yet.
Buddy Franklin for 12! Sometimes you just got to sit back and enjoy the show!
But this year's new for Buddy. It's the start of a whole new era, a new chapter in his career.
Buddy winds up from 55 out! Buddy Franklin arouses the Swan supporters here tonight!
He's had 9 years with the Hawks, and now he's a Swan. So I've painted him in this portrait with the wings of both colours. It represents his past and his future. I think Buddy's used to the spotlight and used to pressure, but I don't think he will have felt pressure like this before. The eyes of the whole footy world's going to be watching. He's going to be up against his old mates who are going to be giving him heaps, and I'm sure he's going to be feeling it. I mean, we're talking about him tonight. Everyone's going to be talking about Buddy. No matter what colour wings Buddy's wearing, I'd hate to see this bird tamed.
Here comes Buddy. Wheels around. Gathers the football. He's kicked a miracle. Carlton Draft Friday Night Football. Buddy Franklin, interesting, he made his debut against the Sydney Swans. If we go back to round 105, his first opponent was Adam Goods, and they're side by side tonight. So amazing. Art mirrors history. Well, something along those lines. Thanks to Jamie Cooper too for his painting.
Sean, you're the visitor. You'll have the call. Call is Charles the call, and it is a head.
Kieran Jack wins the toss, and Sydney have chosen their end. Jamie, of course, just talking about Jamie Cooper, the man who did that painting of Buddy Franklin, who's in the limelight tonight. Played 26 games for Fitzroy back in the Eddies. The commentator tips, you can see them. Well, I'm not sure when these went in because Hodge is out now. Tom Harley and Lee Matthews for Sydney. Wayne Carey and Matthew Richardson, but all of them, as you can see, pretty tight. The outrider there is Tommy with 13. There are commentator tips going into this game. Matthew Richardson is down on the boundary. Let's go down to him now. Richo?
Dennis, I can't wait to watch this Hawthorn forward line in action. Just the spread that they get of goal kickers. It's something we haven't seen before. In 6 of the first 7 games this year, they've had 10+ goal kickers. It just makes it so hard for this Swans defence to defend tonight. They can rotate so many players through there. You see Schoenmakers, he looks like he's going to start forward. We thought that he would go back. That just shows you how unpredictable they are. Every centre bounce, they have a different 6 in that forward line. It just makes it so hard to defend. Really looking forward to watching them go around tonight. Thanks, Matt. Time to start a little bit of action too. Question: are the Hawks better without Buddy? But of course, assume they've got Hodge and Mitchell and Lake. I mean, don't leave them all out.
It's a big call to say they're better, isn't it, Dennis? But they're acting as if they're not. They're better.
Get your feedback. So the umpires tonight: Heath, Ryan, Scott Jeffrey, and Shane McInerney. Umpired last Sunday, this trio.
Rioli's starting as part of Hawthorn's back 6. They've done that odd times over the year, but I don't think he's started yet.
Opening bounce on Friday Night Football, in up very high. McAvoy knocked it down to Burgoyne. Across it goes to Lewis, bumped directly in the back. That's the call. It'll come back to Jordan Lewis.
Thanks, Lance.
They played a milestone match last week. 200th. And played pretty well. They all did. Kicks into the man on the mark, Buddy. That's an early victory. Lewis comes back, applies a strong tackle on Tippett. Down he went. Now it's going to be a free kick, and it's going Sydney's way. And it's coming back to Tippett.
So Tippett just too high there. Ball had just got away, so kicks to full forward. McVeigh at the back. We're all looking for Franklin, obviously, down there. He's given a push in the back, Franklin, a free kick against, and then had the good smother.
I really like Kieran Jack in the forward line. We see Buddy Franklin on screen. I'm sure we'll be seeing plenty of him getting physically involved in the game. But Kieran Jack, not a defensive forward as such, but providing some forward pressure and also shutting down, making Sirioli accountable.
Gibson has got Franklin. Didn't see any verbals between the two of them before the game. Burgoyne to Langford. Belted away by Laidler. Hill, and a boundary throw in.
Yeah, that matchup, I mean, Rioli's down there to really rebound, but you still have to defend.
Yep.
And if he takes the Jack matchup, well, he's got a tough one to defend on.
Well, with a tall Sydney forward line, it's important they have some real activity at their feet, and Kieran Jack's going to provide that.
Boundary throw in. Derek's hit in the face and ricochets back across the boundary line, and they'll do it again.
Looks like Langford's gone to Kennedy as well there, guys. You can see with this setup for the stoppage. So we thought maybe Hanbury, but gone to Kennedy.
Kennedy, wonderful record against his old team, averages 27. That's possessions over 10 games. McAvoy taps it down. Nicely done by Jetta, found a way through to McVeigh, 65 metres out. Long down towards full forward. Tippett spread the hands, took it at the second attempt.
That's a genuine contested mark, isn't it? I mean, he's had the height and he got the front position. Cheney had the drop on him, but he just wasn't tall enough really to get high enough from the extension that was created by Tippett.
So an interesting start. The height up forward, so much talked about Tippett and Franklin working in tandem. And now Alistair Clarkson has the chance here to see something good or bad happen, depending on what happens. Tippett has put it through. That's bad news as far as the Hawks are concerned. The tandem is in the action early.
Attitude's a massive thing in football, and I've got no doubt Kyle Cheney has that, but sometimes you're just out of your depth and you look at those two players side by side, and if the Swans can isolate Kurt Tippett on Cheney, he's in for a long night.
So Schoenmaker's still forward. He's sort of the big guy now that Lake's out. Tippett with the opening goal. Rioli pushed it forward to Langford. But that was clever from Reid to Kennedy. Kennedy to centre half forward. Well done there by Cunningham in the defensive role. Goods held up, went to ground. McVeigh, Franklin brilliant to Kennedy, fended off. Back to Jetta. He's got the length, Jetta. He's got the length. Doesn't know. Well, Reid had to go. It was interesting. Horse spoke to you, Dennis, and also Duck about Reid being a smart player. We just saw a bit of that then. Gee, this is a good start. I know it's early.
Still such a young player, Sam Reid, isn't he? I guess burst onto the scene and played in the premiership early. We forget how young he actually is.
Suckling, short of the wing. Oh, big mark by Derek's not paid. In front, McAvoy lays it off. Rioli Hallahan from right half back up towards the wing. Missed his target. Schoenmakers was on the lead. Bounced off the chest of Malcheski. Well played, Kennedy. Strength there, stood up in the tackle. And furthermore, got boot to ball. McVeigh goes down to Franklin, who wants to take off. Runs inside the 50. Don't tell me. That could have been bookends. Back to back to start the game.
We've seen that, haven't we? And normally his kicks have that right to left drift, but that one just kept going across the goal front. You thought it might just curl back.
Stand behind him.
It's funny, I know Franklin's just moving so well early. I know, you know, the knee, but he's just getting over the ground brilliantly at the moment. So Sydney with 3 scoring shots, and Hawthorn haven't really been able to get it past the centre. Cheney down that line. Ruffy the target. McVeigh's been so prominent. Clever handball, actually. Cunningham to Bird. Hardly misses a game. Jetta off a step to full forward. Reid and Gibson. Reid made a good contest. Suckling, terrific tackle.
It was interesting. As soon as Tippett kicked that goal, he came off the ground, and already that's thrown the Hawthorn defence out of whack. Cheney's now had to go to Franklin.
So McGlynn's tackle was good there.
Knocked down by McAvoy. Langford stumbling through the pack. Rioli trying to assist him. That was interesting. Reid almost took a mark moments ago. They've almost got a roster down there. It was Tippett and then Franklin and Reid. Had he hung on, would have been shooting at goal. McAvoy again doing okay, getting it down first hand of the football, but around the pack, Sydney a dynamite at the moment. Kick came from Bird. Kennedy taken down by Roughhead right on the 50. And the umpire lets them play for a while. Belated whistle and the ball up.
We're spending a lot of time talking about the Sydney forward line. The Hawks forward line are trying to get the size match up in their favour. Also, Dane Rampey's having to play tall, and also Jeremy Laidler and Ryan Schoenmakers.
McAvoy knocked it straight down to Bird. Not his intention. Close to the boundary line. Goods over the top. Jack. Open goal. Goes with the left boot. Outside of that boot and puts it through. Clever.
So that's a wonderful handball. And Jack, who's been, we talked a lot about him pre-match, about his goal-kicking prowess, his ability to play as a defensive forward, midfield, the rotations. So the Swans at the moment have started brightly. 4 scoring shots to 0. Lewis, Burgoyne. Burgoyne belts the ball back forward. It's still not in that forward 50. Puopolo, McGlynn, the ex-Hawk, of course. 29 premiership players out there tonight for the combined total. Rampey, good kick. McVeigh's been prominent. He had 35 last week, McVeigh. Up to 5 disposals already. Careful with that kick. Hanbury front spot, well done. It was a beautiful kick, and Hanbury came across, and Hanbury quickly on. Franklin and Gibson, the best mates. Gibbo belted it away. Parker, can he keep his body over the ball? Well done, Hallahan. Back only as far. Now Grundy got a difficult one in the end. He made it hard. Back he goes to Laidler. Left foot from Laidler. Coming. Oh, not quite.
Just watching the Rioli-Jack matchup. It's really interesting because Kieran Jack's going to draw the ball as a forward. He'll hit the packs hard to get front and square, but Surioli will need to be at his defensive best as a small back. Otherwise, Kieran Jack's got goals on his mind.
Just for the moment, the Swans razor sharp, looking terrific. They lead by 15. Early going. Friday night football. Perfect night in Sydney. Kick outside the defensive 50. Comes behind the pack. Laidler first back. Cutting across his path there was his captain. Jack gave it across to Hanbury. And now they take it through midfield. McVeigh got it from Grundy. And the mark is taken by Cunningham. Down towards half forward. Franklin on the move, surrounded by 3 Hawks. Fisted away by Gibson, and he gets it out of bounds.
He's attracting a crowd, buddy, and that's good for Sydney because it means they've got numbers around the pack when the ball comes down. 3 Hawthorn players flying there against him. He would love to hit the scoreboard early, wouldn't he? He kicked it behind. The long-running shot. McGlynn, Kennedy, Hanbury pushed off. Cunningham, Puopolo, Smith pushing it forward. Back to Hanbury, back to Parker, back to Grundy, back to Hanbury. They've worked it all the way back to Richards. Haven't panicked yet. Richards, careful kick, good kick. Rampey. Then off that step. Goods.
Good target. If you're going to go centre square, go to Goods.
Now Hanbury on the burst.
He's a left footer, looks down to his left half forward, hesitates, now kicks to space, running to that space, Malcheski. Hill comes up to close him down. Another the goal would be dangerous as far as Hawthorn are concerned if Sydney kick it. This is Jack. Just lobs one inside the forward 50. Hands to it. Unable to hang on is Kennedy. Knocked away at the last moment by Langford, who's got the job. And we've got a boundary throw in just inside the 50.
Did well there, the Hawks, to slow that play down. It was actually Jordan Lewis who stayed one kick in front of the ball and just put enough doubt in the Swans players' minds not to kick it long.
Hale and Derricks. Rioli did brilliantly. Quick hands. Give it across to Lewis. Kicks to the wing. Knocked away by Richards. Hallahan missed it. Through the legs of Lewis. Got the fifth man in the conga line there was the little fella McGlynn. He was pushed to the back and he'll get a free kick.
He's been busy, McGlynn. He'd love to have a good one against the very old side. Kicks to full forward. Tip it. One out. Oh, he's got it. He's got it.
I agree, it was both ways. That's why I didn't pay anything, Josh. Park's here.
Well, it is shades of Tom Hawkins a bit. I mean, he's a big guy.
The big man against slightly smaller defenders, which Hawthorn haven't got anyone near the sides with Lake out injured as Tippett is.
So he's kicked two, Tippett, and Sydney get that dangerous goal, Dennis. Because still forward, they haven't had it forward yet. What would you be making a move?
I think right now you would, Bruce. I mean, they're getting the ball inside their forward 50, the Swans. I know it hasn't been down to show makers, but they're getting isolated at the moment and really struggling. Tippett on fire.
McAvoy up high, knocks it down. Roughhead lays it off. Burgoyne, Langford alongside the centre circles, inside the forward 50. Up in front, Hale got fingertips to it, couldn't hang on. Melcheski played it like a basketballer, dribbled his way through that pack, but the kick goes only as far as Gunston. So suddenly it's on the forward line for the Hawks, a rarity so far. He centres it. That's a dangerous spot. Hale surrounded. Richards flew from the back, got a fist on it. Slow to go as Derricks. Not so Birchall, and Birchall gets the goal.
It's just the tempo of the game here for Tom Derricks. You just can't wait for the ball, particularly when you've got two top 8 sides going at it. He'll learn from that Grant Birchall fart he got on that occasion.
Richo, what have you spotted down there?
Yeah, as soon as Birchall kicked that goal, Schoenmakers has gone immediately down to defence. He's got Sam Reid at the moment, but the move's been made.
Okay, thank you. So, Rioli?
Yeah, well, they've actually got one less small defender. I mean, Rioli was that for much of the match, but now it's Schoenmakers, so they're not going to have too much run out of the 4 big defenders.
Reid got it down to Kennedy, to Jetta, to Hanbury. Hanbury to centre-half forward. Franklin overran it. Gibson sweeps it. Not that tidy. Giray, careful kick from Stratton. And now the Hawks starting to get their mojo slightly. Cheney from Hill. Roughhead. No one touched on the way through from McVeigh. Here's Schoenmakers. Did well. Pushed it forward. Burgoyne. Slick. Puopolo. Schoenmakers. Langford. Beats, well, nearly beat one. McVeigh's handball sort of nothing. Laidler good. Kennedy switches. It's in good hands here. Does Jetta take off? Decides not to. Beautiful kick to Bird. Bird to Hanbury. Hanbury, well, he decided to go short and it wasn't a good kick. He missed the target. Franklin was certainly on. He had space. And Hanbury had 2 options, either goal or Buddy, and he missed both.
That was the pattern of play we saw Richo last week really prevail against the Lions. The slingshot from half-back.
Yeah, it is. It's really quick ball movement, and Franklin had a one out. Obviously should have been hit on that lead, but they're looking so dangerous.
McAvoy knocked it down the throat of Parker, as it turned out. Roughhead crashes into the pack. Hanbury, quick hands, gives it across to Franklin. May have been touched off the boot. And through it goes for a minor score. So Hanbury on the burst there. Going for Franklin, just fell in love with the fairy tale for a moment. Probably should have gone for her. Kieran Jack hobbled. And Birchall to bring it in.
7 shots to 1, but they haven't done a lot of damage. I mean, it's 2.5 goals.
It's not always going to be there, but there's no doubt the best forward option is Tippett 15 or 20 metres out from goal. That is their best avenue.
Uncontested now, Chesky, so unusual now. Held up. So he's going to try and pinpoint somebody. It's a good-looking kick. Gee, their field kicking has been Hawthorn-like early, except for the Hanbury one.
You mentioned the conditions, Bruce. We were down on the ground beforehand. It is perfect out there, isn't it?
It is. This guy kicked 3 against the Hawks in round 23 last year here. He's a goal kicker. He's kicked 8 this season. Parker we're talking about. Still so young. Plenty of miles on the clock. Well, there you go. Straight into the man. And then Smith holds the Hawks up. Roughhead tries to get it back. Rampy and Hale in a bit of a wrestle. Bruce down low, slung off it. Malcheski, Laidler. Malcheski did very well. Giray read it best and takes the mark on Cunningham.
Birchall on the overlap, squares it. Schoenmakers, another left footer with Rioli breaking. He's in the clear on the outer side, not much up ahead. Forced to hold on to the footy, so they're flooding back now, but Sydney running with their men. Short one from Rioli to Hill, told to go. Fancies himself against Laidler and takes him on. Laidler did well, fought back into the contest. Hill improvising, gets it back from Bruce. Gets through the pack, lines up. This would be something. Just misses out to the right. Well done by both players there. Hill fighting back. Laidler upsetting him early. Rampy's got it.
Going to be some player, Hill, isn't he? Having a real breakout season. Did so well last year as well, but he's gone to the next level. Reed, strong mark. That's a good mark. They've got some firepower, the Swans. Have seen Tippett with two very strong contested marks. So he's looking for Franklin here. Worked underneath. Schoenmakers and a boundary throw in.
Again, just the I mean, we see Buddy Franklin on screen again. The Hawthorn forward structure. Gunston started up on a wing. He did that last week against St Kilda also when Schoenmakers was deep. But it seems to be that Hawthorn has settled with Schoenmakers back in defence. So Gunston will spend more time front half.
Lewis, well, that's the wrong kick to Buddy. He's no good when he's stationary like that, is he? He's got to be on the move, and that's where he gets really dangerous. Back to Shaw, and a terrific last few weeks. Shaw, not a great kick. Cheney, Kennedy tries to carry it through. Still Kennedy, gives to Reed. Reed sets himself. He gets a fair bit on it. McVeigh, is it paid? Juggled. It's a behind.
I reckon they've been a bit Buddy conscious myself, the Swans. I think they are looking for him when they come through midfield as opposed to what is the best option at any particular point.
Oh, touched by the man standing the mark. In effect, that was McVeigh. Tracks it towards the pocket. In trouble. Jams it on the boot. Took it across the line. Well, they claim they don't read the papers, but obviously they do, Lee. They know there's something going on here tonight.
They know. They know who to give it to. Or who to try to give it to. At the moment, he hasn't really been a great avenue to goal.
Tippett has been very good so far. Knocked it down, follows up, snapping at his third. It's a wayward kick. It goes out of bounds on the full.
Hey, Lee, just wondering with the Kennedy-Langford matchup, Hanbury is now up to 9 disposals already. Is it too early to look for a change there?
I don't think it's right at this quick, Richo, but maybe quarter time onwards, you've got to ask yourself, are you tagging the most dangerous option? But they've got plenty of them.
So Bruce to Birchall. Birchall, the goal kicker tonight so far for the Hawks. To Suckling. Suckling himself, a terrific goal kicker this season. It's that familiar style. Gee, goes so wide. Does Puopolo keep it in? He looks back at the boundary umpire and he takes Tippett on. Poppies away. Runs hard. Doesn't really get the kick. Roughhead clever to Bruce. Well done there by Richards, I think it was. Pushing it forward. No, it was Reed. And then Bruce. Hawthorn looking dangerous now. Or Hill dropped it down. Hanbury, little give back to Reed. Reed's been impressive. Off a step, nut cut off by McAvoy. First time I've called him. Smother again, had a few of those. Hallahan gives it to Lewis, back to Hanbury. So Hanbury again, good kick.
Been great for their ball use, the Swans.
On the lead this time, Kurt Tippett alongside the centre circles, unloads inside the 50. Buddy, he likes that situation.
Just go to tune his opponent. I think that might be the Swans' motive if they get a chance. He just is not looking too comfortable over the one-on-one high ball. Giving away a foot in the old language.
It's a physical matchup, isn't it?
Task.
Kurt Tippett split a couple of goals. Buddy's got 2 behind so far. And right now, Hawthorn in danger of giving away the ending. They're in real trouble. If he kicks this, not even likely. It just wanders out to the left, not his best effort. So he's kicked 3 behinds and being quite compassionate towards his old team.
You talked about Daisy last week in that first shot at goal. I mean, Buddy looked tight, didn't he?
Yeah, there were a few nerves there, Bruce, but you were spot on, Lee. That's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to get Cheney one out, and they want to go to his opponent, and in that case, it was Buddy.
So Franklin's had 3 shots on goal, but 1 set shot. And that one there, you would have backed him in. Rampy gave it away. Langford, boundary throw in.
It's interesting that Sean Makers has gone back there, but he hasn't been able to really get onto Franklin or Tippett.
Why is that, Richo? Do you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, he's playing on Adam Goods now, but I reckon he's got to get onto Franklin or Tippett.
Kennedy, Franklin on the run. Clever enough kick. Reid, does he half volley it? Birchall, Reid, back out. It comes to Suckling. Suckling, well played. Cheney, well done. Burgoyne down the line. They've done this well. Oh, that courageous there from Grundy.
I reckon the Swans are working the Hawthorn defence a bit, saying it's not so much about where our forwards are. Let's position the Hawthorn defenders. So, for instance, Sean Makers, they'll try and run him upfield. All this kind of tactical forward against defence, I reckon.
Derricks knocks it down, stolen away by Hale. Saw Hanbury in the hands of the trainers, not surprisingly. There's reason to be plumb tuckered out. He's had 11 possessions. 24 plays 7. Just under 6 minutes till quarter time on a balmy Friday night in Sydney. Derricks locks up with Hale. That's his job, just to fight a draw. McGlynn. Jenner, who's been very lively. Parker back to Jenner, back to Parker. Cocks it, now releases it. With pace was Jack. Finger-tipping it nicely was Goods. That's brilliant. Bird, though, missed the target completely. Just flew over Hanbury. Hand pass from Birchall. Bird keen to make amends. Knocks it to Hanbury. Now it's Goods. Danawoods full forward. Well, Franklin hung back, hoping Tippett could contest. It didn't work out that way. Getting the crumb from the fist away by Gibson. It was Hill. Gave to Birchall. Kicks into a man coming at him. Now Bird can really make amends. Made a slight blemish on the wing. That more can really be done. He compensates there.
So what they're doing, they're rotating their forwards on and off the bench. They're starting at centre half forward, then they're going deep. They're rotating around. The Hawthorn defenders cannot get settled onto anyone. I reckon they're really missing Hodge back there at the moment, the general, to sort everything out.
Well, Tom just gave us the stat, 18 inside 50s to 3. Hawthorn with 3 inside 50s. McVeigh to Cunningham, make it 19. Through Reid's fingers. Parker was good then. Tippett, still Tippett. No, he's gone. No, he got a little toe poke away. Great tackle from McVeigh. Good tackle coming from Burgoyne. Tippett throws himself in. Little kick coming out from Duray. McGlynn and Rioli. Cyril cut off though. Well done by Smith. Cunningham back. Malcheski, a natural left footer. Looks up. Courage, or didn't take it in the end. Suckling. Back to Suckling. Back to Gibson. Good smother again. It's been a smothering only term, hasn't it?
The Swans have been really good, but remember, Hawthorn just had a cakewalk last week eventually. Won by 140 points. Sometimes just not ready for the contest 6 days after having such an easy last half of footy.
Hodge looking helpless. Boundary throw in. Hale. Shark there by Kennedy. Back over the shoulder. Hanbury goes with the right boot. And doesn't miss by much.
They're very clean at the moment, the Swans. Really impressed with the players who have come in. Tippett's looked really sharp. Sam Reid looks sharp. Adam Goods is always sharp. But they've come into the tempo of the game really well.
Makers told to play on. Drives it with a long kick towards the outer side. Oh, well done by Derricks. Now, if he can find some form and play above his normal form, and that's not putting him down, that would be a bonus. Up goes Gibson, takes the mark. Adam Goods not happy. Derricks a journeyman by any standard, but done a couple of good things tonight. Driven to the outer side by Gibson. Grundy got a fist on it, knocked it down. Rioli, can he get by? Yes, he can. He's away now. One bounce. A second. Runs it down towards the 50. Lowers the eyes. Not a particularly good kick. Half volleyed nicely by Bruce. Gunston across the body. And he misses.
The 2 top goal kickers so far for the year, Bruce and Gunston. 40 between them. Both got in the 40s last year. That's out on the full, I think. Poor kick coming out. Keep an eye on Kieran Jack. He had some ice on his ankle earlier in the game, and they'll need him up and about to run with, whether it's Rioli or Hill. So Smith got it from Duray, kicks to McAvoy. Bruce doing the roving, gets it now, can't quite straighten up, and then coughs it up to Goods. Now Goods will use Jenner. Now Smith and Jenner's not quite Rioli. but it is pretty quick. Does he take him on?
Oh.
Smith corrals him with that ball. Still in the ball. Gibson, well, he was held down for a while, Jetta. That was an interesting call from the umpire. Langford, did Smith stop? Jetta going for a terrible kick from Langford to McGlynn, to Jack. Jack punches to Tippett. Well done at the front from Schoenmakers. Franklin, and out of play.
Just some uncharacteristic errors from Hawthorn at the moment. They haven't really been put under extreme pressure many times in the past couple of years, but just like everyone else, when the heat's on, skills can come undone.
What about that Angus Young step on the outer side there from Lewis Jetta? Right on the boundary line, a little high stepping as he went by his man. Lewis, Schoenmakers, into the pocket. Suckling feeds it forward. Here's Gibson, confronted, did nicely, kept his cool. Drives it outside the defensive 50, but short of centre wing. Oh, good mark. No, spilt it at the last moment, but held. Gunston squares the ball, pushing up the ground. Suckling takes something off this kick. Puopolo getting between the lines. The attacking side of centre, on the centre square line virtually. Sends it inside the 50 and judging it best in flight. The mark is taken by Simpkin, who was running downfield. He was the first to come back. Shaw was continuing on, and Simpkin falling into the mark. He's the late inclusion. Luke Hodge pulling out late. Simpkin, very handy player last year. Had the distinction of playing in 2 premiership sides within a week. This one up to the right, but good enough. Well done.
Interesting, an aerial hand pass out in front. Is he impeded and tackled? The hand pass. Yeah, it's a free kick.
It's a free kick.
Should be a free kick for sure.
Yeah, he was stiff, wasn't he?
Yep.
So it's a good reply from Hawthorn. This is equal to any inside 50s and a quarter for the Swans this year at 21.
It went out.
Well, Ruffy got it off Derricks to Hale. Just feel like Hawthorn have had a really good couple of minutes here. They've been able to dodge a bullet at one end and get a goal at the other against the flow. They shouldn't be within 17 points, but they are. Gunston just a little slow. Richards, good handball by Bird, running hard. Rampy to Hanbury. What a prolific opening quarter from Kennedy, and also Hanbury. Add McVeigh to that. Brilliant stuff by Hanbury. Laidler's kick out wide to Jack. You feel like the Swans should be further in front. Can they get that extra goal? Franklin in a good spot. He's got it. Paid.
Well, he's got 3 behind, so he's having the volume. This will be his 4th shot at goal.
Well, he might have the last say in the opening too, mate. It's all been about Buddy this week. Well, it's been about the bump and Buddy, hasn't it?
Just outsized again, Cole Chaney. He's going to need support, but I guess when you've got so many tall targets inside your forward 50...
He feels like a target, I reckon, Tom. They're just going to kick the ball at me and my opponent.
I've got no doubt.
Might have been a bit lucky to have it paid, and he's missed again. So coming into tonight, he was very accurate in front of goals from set shots. 10-3, I reckon, off the top. And he's missed a couple of, well...
He hasn't kicked them well. I mean, the first one wasn't a bad kick off the boot, but they have been sort of tight kicks. Tight as in tight attitude, tight psyche, so you're just not really fluent through the footy.
Birchall to himself. Carl Cheney has a problem playing in front against Buddy. Not strong enough to hold his ground as the ball goes towards the outer side. Stratton has been quiet, plays on, while in the arms of Jetta. Taken down. The siren may save the Hawks here, although... they're messing around a fair bit across half back. Eventually Smith with his pace comes in. Sockers it forward. Hallahan goes wide. This is Lewis. There's the siren. Not altogether convincing. The last 30 seconds from the Hawks. They've got some problems. But then again, there is some good news. And as much as Sydney should be a lot further in front, as that scoreline indicates, 12 scoring shots to 4 at quarter time on Friday Night Football. Sydney Swans 4-8. The Hawks are 2-2.